Hi, this is Mark from Earthside Astronomy. I just want to walk you through the setup and operation of a Goto telescope. Specifically for this example, I'm using a alt-azimuth telescope, a Skywatcher all-view, using the Synscan Handpiece. Now, this is the same sort of handpiece you see on most Skywatcher telescopes, and very similar to your Celestron and many other brand telescopes. Probably some of the main different ones would be, for example, the Meade, the Ioptron, and the National Geographic's a bit different, but you'll see this handpiece around quite a bit. Now, first thing I need to do is turn it on. Now, you'll see when it's turning on, this one's actually going to give me the opportunity to be either a astronomical or terrestrial mode, because this one's used also for taking some nice photography. Now, I'm just going to stay with astronomical mode for this particular one. Now, one of the first things that any handpiece should tell you is a nice warning saying, please do not use this telescope to look at the sun. And I'd like to emphasize that, unless if you're using the proper equipment, such as a solar telescope or a proper solar filter, please do not look at the sun. So make sure you keep an eye on that. Now, the next option we have is to select either the city or coordinates that we are at for our telescope. Now, an easy one to start off with is, of course, select the city. I'll just quickly walk through this before I show you the coordinates. International, because it is actually from America, this handpiece. So international includes Australia, and where we are, which is Perth. Now, it's as easy as that to set up using the cities. Now, the problem with that is that this is using the coordinates of Perth in the city. I'm not actually in the city, I'm a bit further north, so it's not going to track quite properly and find things quite properly because it's not quite right. It's close enough to work, but it's not going to be brilliant. So I'm going to go back and actually enter in coordinates. So I get to the select city, I press down to edit coordinates. I can put in coordinates of where my site is. Now, a lot of times you can get these coordinates from plenty of apps on the phones, or you can look it up to find out where you are online. I'm just going to leave these coordinates in at the moment. Now, I get to select my time zone. I'm GMT +8, so it will be time zone +8, same as Beijing. And a date and time. I've got today's date and time in, which is actually the 4th of the 8th, 2017. You can see that that's actually month, day, year, because once again, as I said, these are developed in America, so we've got to keep an eye on that. And enter the time. Let's just say it's a bit after 8. It's actually closer to 9. 21:02, that looks good. Normally you'd get that from, once again, your phone or your watch. Now, it does ask you if you're in daylight savings. Here in Perth, we don't have daylight savings, so we can just leave that as no. If you're in another city which does have daylight savings, you may need to adjust that. Now, next thing we're going to do is begin alignment. What we've put in here so far is we've told the telescope what the date is, what the time is, and given it its exact coordinates where the telescope is. So it knows the date and time and what the sky should generally look like at this point at night, exactly where we are, but it doesn't know which direction it's pointing. So that's what we're going to have to do now. We're going to have to align the telescope with at least 2 stars, I normally say, into the night sky. Now, there is an option in this and many other handpieces to have either a brighter star or 1-star alignment. This generally you look at 1 star and you try to tell it if it's looking towards the north, south, or which section of the sky is, and it attempts to find which star it is. Now, I have used that in the past plenty of times, but I find that this mounts seem to track the sky much better when you use at least a 2-star alignment on the alt-azimuth and 3-star alignment if you're using an equatorial mount. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to align the telescope. So I press 1 to go into alignment. There's the brightest star, which I said we don't want to use at this stage, and then we can use the 2-star alignment. When I go into the 2-star alignment, it's going to give me options of different stars that I can choose and find. Now, you do have to know where at least 1 star in the night sky is to be able to use this alignment method. So I'm just going to go to one which is very, very obvious and anyone should be able to find, Alpha Centauri. It's our closest star to the Earth, or closest star system to the Earth, shall I say, and it's just near the Southern Cross, so it's normally a pretty easy one to find in the Southern Hemisphere. So what we'll do is we'll just press enter and move our telescope to that coordinate. To move the telescope, we're just using the buttons. You can actually hear the telescope moving. It'll be moving quite rapidly at this stage. Once I'm looking at that object, I just press enter. Now what this has done now is we're looking at the object using, say, the finder, but it might not be perfectly centered in the telescope. So the handpiece has actually slowed down the motors in the telescope so that I can now very slowly adjust the telescope so that it's looking directly at the object. Now it's looking directly at the object, I'll press enter. Now what we want to do is find a second star. I can once again go through the list of stars to find one which I actually know about. You've got Antares, a nice easy one normally to find as well, which is just in the Scorpio cluster. Nice bright red one there. We'll press enter. And now our telescope is automatically going to try and find that handpiece. Now, once it gets to looking at where that object is in the night sky, it's going to tell me that it's generally close to the right place. And at this stage, the telescope has looked generally in the right direction. It might be a little bit off, but that's where we then want to use the slow motion to try and bring it into the right place. If you find that it's actually still quite far off, you can use the rate button, and then this is rate 4, which is 1 through to 9. These are the actual rates. If I go 9, and then it'll make it go a lot faster. Now you can hear that moving nice and fast again. And once I've centered Antares, I can press enter. Now, I've actually aligned my telescope. Now it's telling me alignment successful. And once I've got to this stage, I can now go and use the telescope to find any objects in the night sky and start enjoying my night of observing. Now, final thing I'm going to just quickly show you is how to use the planet button to find something, say, as the moon. We'll just press escape to get back to the main menu. It says choose menu, setup mode. Just going to press planet. You've got a list of all the planets. Tonight the moon's up, so I'm just going to go up to find the moon. Press enter. It's going to tell me whereabouts the moon is in the night sky. Enter again. View object, yes please. Now my telescope's going to actually move to that object in the night sky and hopefully not reset. Now, so thank you for going through and listening to this tutorial on how to use your handpiece. Any questions, please contact me at info@earthsideastronomy.com.au, and thank you.